Hi everybody. I just wanted to take a minute and say hi, and I hope that you're making the best of an anxiety-driven situation and taking some time for yourself. I know that sounds weird to feel like you have an infinite amount of time for yourself, but with everything going on, most of our brains are elsewhere. So what I would like to introduce to you is instead of starting big and saying like I'm going to start a yoga practice or I'm going to work out more or I'm going to clean the whole house or repaint the baby's nursery, I want you to take 5 minutes and maybe do 5 minutes of mindfulness. So I'm giving you 5 tips to do that and 5 shapes to do that. So when it comes to yoga, I thought about trying to film a lot of sequences and stuff for people, but I'm getting into this and I'm just starting, so I didn't want to like overwhelm myself and I didn't want to overwhelm anybody else when we already have enough to be overwhelmed with. So the 5 things that I want to introduce to you is actually a method that I picked up recently from someone on Twitter and then traced it back to the University of Rochester, where a way to reduce anxiety is to mindfully pay attention to your surroundings. So you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you'll start with 5. So 5 things in the room or in the location that you can see. So you point out 5 things you see. They don't have to be big. So right now I'm looking at my Kentucky cutout, and I'm noting that this is here. I'm looking at a carton of goldfish that's just sitting here on the counter because I haven't had enough time to like put it up. I'm looking at a pillow on my couch. I'm looking at Will, who's right here with me, so practicing some mindfulness with me. And I'm looking at my car keys, so that's 5 items. Now I'm going to go for 4 things that I can touch. So I've brought it from visual to my other sense, which is touch. So I'm going to touch 4 things in my room. So I've got my water bottle, touch. I've got a PlayStation, so I'm going to touch my PlayStation, so that's 2. I've got a candle lighter, there's 3. And I've got a picture of me and my friend Becca. So there is 4. So then we go to 3 different things that we can hear. So I'm going to take a minute and really zone in on the 3 things I can hear. Right now I can hear my air conditioner vent running. So I slow down and acknowledge that it's a little bit harder to hear things going on. So I can hear my neighbor's television just slightly. And then upstairs right now, I can hear my dog, and you might have heard her earlier, shaking her collar. So she's bouncing around upstairs. So there's your 3 things that you can hear. There's 2 things that you can smell. So I actually lit a candle earlier. So that's something that's going to help me periodically if I'm going to be spending any amount of time at home. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to put on an oil diffuser. If it helps you to smell anything other than Lysol wipes like I've been lately, so smell something that's different. So right now I smell my candle, that's 1. And oh, I have a mint plant. So I'm going to pick 1 leaf off of my little indoor mint plant, pinch the leaves, and smell it. Also, if you can grow mint, it's really easy to grow. Grow some mint in a pot by your window or in your garden or in your home garden. It makes you feel like you could grow anything or do anything or be anything because you can grow mint like mint will grow itself. So that's your smell. As for taste, that's your number 1. You find 1 thing that you can taste. And so for me, I'm going to do the other thing, which is we should all be doing, which is hydrate. So I'm going to drink some water. So when you're spiraling, if you're taking a moment and maybe your workplace hasn't shut down yet, maybe you are at home and you feel like you've been kind of stuck with people or your kids are busy and you don't understand their assignments, these are 5 things that you can do to let all of the outer effects on your body kind of level out for a minute. Now I'm going to run you through really quickly 5 shapes. So they have tons of different names, yoga and the asanas and a lot of other forms of exercise. Give them all different names, but I'm going to give you these 5 shapes, and it doesn't matter what you call them, as long as you do them safely or in some capacity, it'll be good for you. The 5 shapes that I picked are shapes that generate a small amount of movement as well as make you bigger. So with a lot of anxiety going on, and we have the moment of letting our mind wander, it can start to get you to the feeling of being smaller. Additionally, if you're in a condition where you're quarantined or you're having to stay in, or maybe you're in work and you're having to isolate a little bit more, stay away from people, you feel like you can't do anything, you feel like you're contained, if you're wearing gloves a lot, if you're washing your hands constantly, you feel like you're in that same bathroom constantly going to wash your hands. This will allow you to be bigger, because after a day of like hunkering over at your tiny work desk or sitting on your couch and like doing your work, you can get really small and you can start to hunch over and tense your shoulders up. And so growing bigger gives you these power poses too. So these are not just power yoga poses, these are power poses that instill confidence and also instill like movement in your body. So the first one we're gonna do is high lunge or a warrior one. So the easiest way to do this, and I'm going to back up slightly, is I'm going to face one side. I'm going to take my right foot and my right heel, and I'm going to put them next to each other. So you're kind of standing with both of your heels next to one another. I'm going to take my right foot now, and I'm going to slowly send it back. I'm going to go at least about 3 feet. I actually did this in work clothes today because we don't always have time to do yoga and throw on yoga pants and a whole outfit and be in the finest athleisure, especially because you can do these while you're at work. So I'm not going to be able to go out super far because I'm in jeans, which is what I wear to work today. So I'm going to come out at least 3 feet, but you can come back a little bit further. Your foot is going to be parallel to the wall if you can, but sometimes that's not super comfortable for people with your lower back. So you'll turn that foot in about 45 degrees, or if that's still not super comfortable for you, or if you feel like that's not something that you want to do, or a shape that you feel like making, and you want to make it a little bit more active, you can actually take the ball of the foot and go back and kind of go into a high lunge with a little bit more active. So Warrior One Vinyasa style if you're used to practicing yoga. And once you've done that, turn your body to the front leg. So my left leg is lunged forward. You're going to make sure that your knees aren't going out any over your toes. You're going to want to bring them in almost like they're going in towards your smaller toes. And I want you to simply pick something to do with your hands. So just doing this expands your lower body. So here's a good shape for you. If you've got some more room, and you can, take your hands and you can send them up. And you can stretch tall. You can take the arms out. You can really just open up through the back. Or if you want to, just take your arms out wide. Make any sort of shape. That's the thing about yoga. Some people feel like you have to fit into a perfect, Instagram pose. Don't do that. Just create a shape that feels good in that moment. So that's your first one. Warrior One, high lunge. You name it, you do it. I don't care, just make the shape. So the next one is gonna be Warrior Two. So we're gonna go into that same entry. So we're gonna go from Warrior One, but you're just gonna turn your body towards that open thigh, that open leg. Make sure that you're not putting too much weight forward and that knee is not going over the toes. And you just want you to reach tall. So side to side. Feel like your 2 fingertips are being pulled in either direction. Just take a moment here. If you want to feel larger, you can actually, if you're pretty balanced, if you're pretty rooted, you can gently close your eyes. But if not, if that creates too much of an imbalance in you, keep your eyes open. Just feel your body reaching out and growing. It also helps to look from one thumb to the other, because you can also practice your 5 senses by doing this too in each pose. So it's a way to build a little practice for yourself. All right, coming out of that, take both of the toes, point them towards the front wall, and bring the heels in. You're gonna want those knees to kind of track over where the middle to like smaller toes are. And I want you to take your hands up, almost like you're coming into a 5-pointed star, which is another shape that you can do, but it's a bonus shape. And gently and lightly squat down. So there are multiple versions of what this is called. Sun god, sun warrior, sun goddess, sunflower. I don't care what you call it, as long as you're making a shape that feels comfortable. So you're actually going to bring those shoulder blades in, but you're just kind of squatting and opening your front body. So this allows you to expand a little bit. All right, so after this, I'm gonna come back up and stretch, growing tall, and I'm actually gonna bring my feet in. Now, you want your feet to be in a center line, or you can go halfway. Come up. You've spent a lot of time flexed over because you're sitting in a chair. So we're going to bring our hands to our lower back. Inhale up. And I want you to just bring your heart towards the sky. And actually take your elbows in towards one another. So this is a variation of one of the half moon poses. But you can also see this called as Anahata Asana. Don't worry about that. Just think about this as your heart opening up to the sky, looking up, and bringing your chin back. So if you're constantly flexing forward in a chair, whether you're still at work or anything, this is also going to help you to add some extension. So instead of flexion, you're extending. So you need to get up and do quite a few extensions throughout the day to balance out all the flexing that you're doing, and not just normal flexing, like an extension. So I understand why those two words could be different. With that in mind, the last shape that I'm going to give you isn't as big, it's not as expansive. It actually is flexion, but it's a good way to settle things out. If things are just super tense, if you're super tight, if you have been on your feet all day, if you're still at work, if you're a nurse, if you are someone that has to be on your feet constantly, if you're going up and down, if you're a caretaker for your family, and you feel like you're just super compressed, the last thing that we'll teach you tonight is kind of a yin practice. It's called dandling. You also may hear this as ragdoll. It just depends on which form of yoga that you do. Again, for me and the building of this practice, it's not so important the name, it's just that we're doing it safely, effectively, and that we're getting something out of it. So I'm going to turn to the side again so that you can see. Then I'm going to bring my hands up. I'm going to go ahead and hinge. I'm going to bring that bottom into the sky. And I'm actually going to just kind of dangle. Now I'm not locking out through the knees. You never want to do that because your head is below your heart. So you want to have a subtle bend in your knees, and you want to feel a stretch on the backs of your legs, your hamstrings, and then you want to feel your back slowly release. So just dangle your head. It's called dandling, but dangling is also what I want to say when I do this. I bring my opposite hand to opposite elbow. And actually, another thing that I like to do, if you have a weighted blanket or if you have a couple of towels or maybe like a slightly heavier coat, drape it over your arms, kind of cross your arms, kind of like you're mad, drape it over your arms, and allow yourself to dangle there. But set a timer and start in increments. So you can do it for 1 full minute and try to think of nothing or use your 5 senses that we talked about earlier. So try to think of just releasing. So if you're in dandling for 1 minute and you're okay, you can go up to about 3 minutes, but I wouldn't go any longer than 3 minutes because that keeps your head below your heart. Additionally, if you have any blood pressure issues, you don't want to do that either. Pay attention to your body. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. When you're done, slowly come up. Allow your chin to come off of your chest, neutralizing your spine, normalizing your blood pressure, and then maybe take a moment to, once again, go through your 5 senses. So this allows you to generate a mindfulness practice. This allows you to begin the baby steps of doing some yoga, and this also takes about 5 minutes to do of something for you, for yourself, that can really just recenter you and get you focused on what really needs to be happening in the moment. We can't really worry about what's going on in there and out there and what's going to happen in the future or even what happened in the past. What we have is now, and if we do these, hopefully it will create a sense of taking 5 minutes and giving you, I don't know, just like 5 more moments of centeredness. So I hope that helps out. If there's anything that you can do, or if you have any suggestions of 5 other expansion shapes, please let me know and let other people know. Do this with your kids, do this with your family, any age. You don't even have to do them when you're standing. You can half do them, just do them. Love you guys. I look forward to seeing you when I see you. Namaste.